DesignSpark team. So let me just begin by giving you a quick introduction into DesignSpark, what we do. Um, right. So DesignSpark is, so if you go to designspark.com, it's a web-based community for engineers, which gives engineers resources to design objects, in 3D, electronic circuits. We also have a forum where users can interact with each other, ask questions around engineering or making objects. So yeah, it is aimed at the students. It's aimed at professionals, makers. So we've got quite a good mix of people who want to use our design software. It is quite easy to begin with. So if you've got no prior experience with engineering design software, DesignSpark is a good place to start, where you have got some concepts in your mind, but you don't really need to spend a whole week or 2 weeks of training to understand a piece of software. You can pick up DesignSpark within a few hours and you should be good to design your first model. So the slide, I think hopefully everyone can see the slides okay. So the slide I'm on right now is just a overview of our subscriptions offer. So the subscriptions offer is free to enter first for students, for people to trial our programs, and there is no time limit on this free usage either. If you want extra features, obviously there we have paid plans as well. But as students, as people who are learning to make objects for the first time, the free tier is a great place to start. So we have three main primary design software. One is for electronics circuit board design, that's DesignSpark PCB. The other one is for 3D object design. So for example, if you're making an enclosure for your PCB, that is the DesignSpark Mechanical software. And the third one is our circuit simulator software. So this is where you can basically sketch an electronic circuit right in your web browser. You don't need to install it to your computer. And then you can run simulations just like you were testing the circuit in a lab environment. So these are three main tools. We also have supplementing the tools. We have tips and tricks articles, video tutorials, software tutorials, user guides, and so on. We have CAD part libraries. So these are ready-made part models for common parts. For example, if you're designing a circuit board, you need to get the measurements of a USB port or the Ethernet internet port. You can get the models for these ports directly from these libraries and drag and drop them directly into any of these software, PCB, mechanical. We also have a product design center, which is mainly for working engineers who need information on a product, whether the product is still actively being produced by a manufacturer, the data sheets, and so on, all the relevant information before they purchase the part. We also have a community and support area. So there's a public forum where you can ask questions and your fellow users can reply to you. And we have an FAQ section, so just around troubleshooting if you run into any problems while using the software. Moving on to the next slide. So this is just repeating what I mentioned earlier about our subscription tier. So you can start off in the free tier, which we are currently talking through today. All the features I'm showing you, the work I'm showing you can be done in the free tool. There are extra paid features, which are mainly aimed at professional creators or engineers, just to boost their productivity. And what's mentioned below is organization subscriptions. This is again meant for companies who are trying to purchase multiple licenses for their staff. So the next slide, this is just an overview for each of our software. So this is our PCB software, as I was mentioning before. Lets you sketch an electronic circuit first as a plain schematic, and then helps you generate a PCB from it. And it also allows you to generate a bill of materials and order a circuit board directly to your doorstep. So let's just mention a few key features. I won't be going through each of them because this is not our focus software today. So I will share these slides later on, so you can always take some time to have a look through it later on. Circuit simulator software, so you can just see some screenshots there, helps you sketch a circuit and then run simulations, as you can see in these small plots next to the components. And then we have our mechanical software, which we will talk through the workshop today. So in DesignSpark Mechanical, as it says, helps you make any type of 3D object at any level of complexity from scratch. It's as easy as using Sketch and Pull. So you start by drawing the outline of the object, and then you click the Pull button, it converts it to a surface, and then you convert the 2D sketch into a 3D object, and you can modify it as you like. You will really see how intuitive it is as I do the demo in the software. So these are some of the key features. So there's unlimited projects and design size. We do not place any limitations in the free tier on the number of designs you can make or the extent of it. It works based on a hybrid modeler, which means that it allows both fully constrained sketches, meaning you can work within limitations of your geometry within certain set of measurements, or you can freely model without any limitations. So in the unconstrained mode, this really helps you become more creative. And if you've got a concept in mind but you don't know the exact measurements of the object you're going to produce, you're just trying to sketch an early concept, this is the tool for you. So we've got pull, bend, fill. I'll go through most of these today in our workshop. The measure and quality tools, which allow you to check, get the measurements on your object, check the quality finish of surfaces. Again, it allows you to generate bill of materials, get quotes. There's an equation and constraint-based sketching tool. So if you've got a fixed set of measurements in mind, then you can use these tools to generate objects to that exact set of dimensions. We have an integrated CAD library, as I was mentioning in the first slide, allows you to drag and drop ready-made models. There's a mirror tool, which allows you to create, say, one half of an object and then mirror the other half, which will be a symmetric copy of the first half. There are detailing options for drawing sheets. So this is included in our paid subscription plan, as I was showing earlier. Allows you to create technical drawings with title blocks for manufacturing. And these are the extra file formats we include in the subscription plans, paid subscription plans. And also you can edit 3D objects directly within the drawing sheet views. So that's the overview for mechanical. Now we will just start through going through the workshop. So this is the basic object we are trying to make today. I'm not going for something too complex. I know we will run short of time then. So this what this is, as it says below, is just half of an assembly of a Raspberry Pi single board computer enclosure. So the cutouts that you see here are where the ports will be. So these are the two ports for USB. This is one for your Ethernet port that you have on the Raspberry Pi. There's an HDMI and there is a memory card slot. The small thin one, that's the memory card slot there. So we'll try and cover these parts of the software today: the user interface, the options menu, the spin, pan, and zoom options, selection methods, pull, move, combine, and fill tools, sketcher, and I'll just briefly allude to the technical support area as well in case you have any questions. But yeah, feel free to post any questions into the chat. Hopefully after the workshop, we've got some time left and I can answer them. If not, I can always answer by email, and Sean, maybe you can help me forward it to the participants.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Right. Let me just bring this to a split screen. So hopefully you can all see both windows now. So on the right-hand side, we've got our software. Obviously, I've already activated it, logged in, and you will see my copy just says engineer. It's because as an internal user, I've got the highest subscription level, but it includes all the free features as well that we will be covering today. You will have access to those with your DesignSpark account. Right, so let me just go down one slide here. Right, so before we start, I'd just like to cover these two sets of settings. So one is turning off the constraint-based sketch mode. So as I was mentioning earlier, constraint-based sketching is mainly when you are trying to design an object with where you have already decided that that is the object that you're ready to manufacture to a fixed set of measurements. But we won't be doing that today. We are just going to do a a rough design. So just to introduce the basic geometry concepts to you. So I will be turning that off. So the way you do that is going to File, DesignSpark Options, into Advanced, and then you turn off this checkbox here where it says Enable Constraint-Based Sketching. I've already turned it off, so you can see the checkbox is off. Once you turn it off, just click OK, and then restart the program. And then you should see just these 4 tabs. So you won't see the Detail tab. The Detail tab is included in the paid plans. The ones you will see in your free software are the Design, Display, Measure, and Help resources. So these contain everything you really need to make your first designs. The other option I will also toggle here is in Display. So let me just open a basic design first so we can enable the options. So go into Display, then drop down Graphics and go and turn on Shaded mode. Not the enhanced shaded, just turn on the shaded mode. So what this does is it makes your rendering a little faster. So when you're doing your early concept prototyping, it really makes your software perform a little bit faster. If you're trying to capture screenshots or trying to get that photorealistic render, the enhanced shaded mode is better for capturing screenshots. Right, so let me just move into the next slide here. So I've already done the first step. As you can see, I've gone into File, New, and then Design. And that has opened a blank grid for me, and I can start my first model here. The next step is, right, so before I actually move into the next step, perhaps I should just give you a quick tour of the user interface here. And I will go full screen for this. Let's just be a little bit more helpful. So this design tab is will be your most commonly used tab of features. So what you see here is these are your navigation options, model navigation options. So this allows you to quickly get a bird's eye view of your grid and you can start sketching on it. This allows you to get different perspectives, especially if you've got a 3D model ready. It allows you to have a trimetric view where it shows some foreshortened dimensions. Some dimensions will appear longer as if you're looking at it from a faraway corner. There are other perspectives you can also use. Isometric, there's top view, bottom view, and these are all pretty much self-explanatory as you can see from the icons there. The spin option, when you've got a 3D model, it just allows you to spin around the model. The pan allows you to just move your grid around or move the whole object around in the workspace. And then zoom obviously allows you to zoom in or out. You don't need to click these buttons each time. You can just use your mouse wheel and your left and right clicks. So the mouse wheel, by default, the mouse wheel, if you move it up, it will zoom out. And if you move the mouse wheel down, it will zoom in. You can change that in File, DesignSpark Options, as I was showing you earlier. There's a control settings option there, and you can change your key bindings as well from there. The next group of features you'll see here are the sketching features. So we will be using these today. We'll be using the rectangle. You can see here, if I click on rectangle, I can just drag and drop the crosshairs anywhere in the grid and click to begin sketching and then click again to stop the sketch. And then you've got circle, you've got all different types of shapes. You've got a spline, which allows you to have a curve with multiple jog points here. And you can click escape on your keyboard to stop the curve sketch there. You've got rounded corners. So if you've got a sharp corner, you can create a rounded corner from that using the rounded corner option in sketch mode. There's the equation tool, but we won't really be using it at the start. We have a lot of help. I mean, things I'm not able to cover today. We have a ton of tutorials. There's also, you can see here, as I hover my mouse over each tool, if you press the shortcut F1 key on your keyboard, it'll bring up a whole guide for you on how to use that specific option. So we've got the sketch mode, there's a 3D mode. So if you click 3D mode, it automatically converts your sketch into a surface. And to move into a 3D model, all you need to do is click pull, select the surface, and then pull up to any measurement. You can also enter a specific dimension here. So here you can see it's in meters, but we'll be using millimeters today for all our measurements. So I'm just going into options here, then into units, and then length, and change it to millimeters. And then click OK to save that. Right. So you can see it's immediately changed. So you go to 10 millimeters. It adjusts the height of this cuboid here. Right. So the move tool, this allows you to select the whole object, move it around. You can do that, or you can just place it on a face. You can even pull that. So you can make adjustments to single faces, single edges, the whole object. The fill tool allows you to say, for example, I've got a hole right in the center of this object here. I place a circle like that. Click the pull tool, and then I pull down a little bit. You can see I've got a depression in the surface here. And so I click the fill tool, and I click on the surface here, and then it fills the hole up. That's easy as it says here. Again, you can do all sorts of stuff with the fill tool, not just filling holes like that, but if you've got a rounded corner, for example, you can use the fill tool and turn it back into the sharp corner it was before. So it's got different uses. Again, like I said, you can click the F1 key and it'll bring up a guide for you on the different ways that the fill tool can work and the other tools can. Combine, that allows you to have two separate objects and then combine them together. Split is where two objects are connected by a surface, and you can select the surface and then split it into two different objects again. There's the plane tool. So it just allows you to have another construction plane, and you can create multiple objects on the same plane. You can have as many construction planes as you like, and it'll all be listed here in the structure tree on the left-hand side. There's a quick cylinder and sphere creation option. And there's also a shell option. So this allows you to make a depression in the center of an object, for example, and you can set a thickness to it using the shell option. Here's the mirror tool I was mentioning earlier. So this is included, I believe, in the paid subscription plan. So this mirror tool is only included in creator and engineer plans. The file tool allows you to import other designs you've created into the current design workspace. So you can combine multiple designs in the same workspace here. There's the import PCB option, so that allows you to bring in a circuit board you've created with our DesignSpark PCB tool, create a enclosure around it. This is the inbuilt built-in library that I was talking about earlier. So if you click download 3D models, takes you to the catalog, and then you can browse all the ready-made CAD models that we have, and you can just click insert, immediately places it into your workspace. Here you can see the export options. So these are the common export options. There are even more file export options if you click on File, Save As. Here's the measure tool. So that just allows you to measure, say, the length and all the different angles around the object's line length. It tells you all the parameters associated with that selected entity. Dimension, this allows you to place an annotation, which is very useful if you're revisiting a drawing or you're trying to show it to someone who's going to help you manufacture that object. So you can place annotations anywhere you like. You can change the font and everything from the properties window, which is on the left-hand side. You've got the bill of materials option. So if you've got a list of parts that you will be manufacturing, you can attach stock numbers to it before you purchase them. And you can even export the bill of materials as a CSV file. And bomb quote, this takes you to our RS trading website. So this RS is our parent company, which sells all the engineering products. You will see, they're present in many countries across the globe. So this takes you to your local RS website and gives you a rough pricing of your design, how much each component would cost. The display tab, so this is where you adjust your colors of faces and objects. You can change the line style, so the line thickness. If you want dashed, dotted, continuous lines, you can change the graphic shading mode. We are already in the regular shading mode, so this is faster usually when you're designing your first object. You can also select objects and you know, give it a metallic surface finish, plastic, brushed, hatched finish, and so on. You can change the perspective or to an orthographic view. You can split your windows into two halves, so you can look at both the top side and the left side at the same time. You can easily switch between windows if you've got multiple designs open. You can hide the sketch grid if you are only comfortable working in the 3D mode. You don't need the sketch grid. You can turn that off. And over here, you can turn off other HUD options, the interface options like origin, spin center, zoom legend. But I would suggest keeping them on as they are when you're first learning the software. I've got the measure tool, so you won't really be needing these much initially. These are just for checking the surface finish when you're ready to move into a manufacturing phase. And then there's the help resources tab. So this is where you can directly access the documentation, the F1 shortcut documentation. You can also click it via this button here. This takes you to the online tutorials. So we've got about 300, 400 tutorials on the site. On each different feature, we've got design examples. There's a quick reference card with all the shortcut keys that you'll be using daily. If you've got a touch screen, the DesignSpark software is also compatible with touch screens. So you can, just drag with two fingers to zoom in, zoom out, all that stuff as you are used to on tablets. You can ask on our public forum any questions. There's a ticketing center, uh, examples, design examples, so you can browse when you're first opening the software. There are user projects on our site where you can browse what other users have done and you can get inspiration from that. This is to help you check for software updates. If you are looking for simulation options, that's something our developer provides. So this is you can view their offer from this link here, and this tells you your license key and all other information of the software that you've installed currently. Right, so I'm just going to go back into split view, close this, open a new design again. Okay, right, so let's start with the first step. So just revisiting the object that we'll be designing today. And that is the half assembly of this Raspberry Pi enclosure. So we've already covered these, turning off these two options. We've opened up a new design already. And now we're going to start sketching. So the first thing I want to do is go into plan view. So you will notice that some of these icons have shortened. That's because I've collapsed my window into half the screen, so the icons have shortened here. When you go into full screen mode or you maximize the window, you will see these will expand. So don't worry about it. All your options are still present. It's just shortened in view. So going into plan views gives me a top-down view. Then I'm going to click a rectangle option here. And I can start anywhere in this grid. Say I start on this corner. I click down, left mouse button, and I drag out. And then I enter the length as 95 millimeters. I click tab. Oh, that's gone into meters for some reason. Right, let's go back. Right, let's go back into options, change that into millimeters. Okay, that shouldn't bother us anymore. Let's try that again now. 95 and then 60 millimeters is the width. Right. So that is done here. So I'm just going to press hit enter to finish sketch. Right, the next slide, we'll go into the home view. So this is this button here. And now we're going to pull this into a 3D surface. So that will be 3 millimeters thick. So I click on pull, click on the surface and then pull up. Just click my left mouse button down and then I drag it up. I enter 3, press enter, and it's created the surface there. Next, we've got working on the edges. So we are going to copy one of these edges here to create basically a wall. So I click on this edge and you will see there are some different options even within the pull tool. In this case, we'll be using the copy edge option. So I just click on this edge and these show up. So I click on copy edge and then I click on this down arrow here, but I won't be dragging it down, but I'll drag it upwards to 27 millimeters. And then I press enter. You can see it's done the copy edge. And the next step is making this surface into an actual thicker wall. So that will be 3 millimeters thick. So all you need to do here is just click on the surface and then drag it inwards by 3 millimeters. Into 3, and you can see it's already merged with the base. The next one is just repeating the same step on the other side. So I click on this edge. You'll see copy edge is already selected because that was our last operation. And I do the same thing here. So enter 27, press enter. It's created a copy. You can see it's translucent at this time. So it shows you that it doesn't have any thickness associated. As soon as I drag it and enter 3, you'll see it becomes opaque and it turns into somewhat of a resemblance of what we were trying to get at of the final object. So you've got both the sides. And now you should see only one solid in the structure tree. So this is the structure tree. This shows you all the objects that you have created inside your workspace. So any surfaces that are independent surfaces, they will be listed here. Since we have already constructed the walls and if added some thickness to them and they've merged with the base, they have turned into one solid here. So they've become one object. So in case you see any independent surfaces, they shouldn't exist. So you can just safely delete them. You should only have one solid to move forward. Right. Next is rounding the corners. So we will just use the spin. Just go back a slide here. I'm going to press down my middle mouse button. And then I'm going to select these edges here. And the other one. So the way I'm selecting the two edges at the same time is I click on one first, and then I press down Control on my keyboard, and then I press the other edge. You can see it's kept both of them in selection. Now we need to use a different pull option this time, which is the rounding edge option. So in case you don't see the menu pop up here in this workspace, you can also access all the pull options on your left-hand menu here in Options Pull, which will be usually docked to the left side of your screen. And here's the round option. Now once that's selected, you'll see the arrow marker here changes. So it's saying you can push inwards to complete the round. So I'm just going to press down my left mouse button and then push it inwards. You can see the round starts to form. So this will be 3 millimeters in radius. I just enter 3 and it completes the round by pressing enter. Now, one tip that I've included in this slide is when you're trying to select edges, only edges, but not any surfaces of the object, there's a quicker way to do that without trying to highlight all these different surfaces, edges, vertices that you have on the object. The way you do that is by using the selection filter. So if you look down on the bottom right corner, you'll see this selection filter option. So you click on that, turn off smart filtering, and then select only edges. Now, as I hover over the object, you will notice that the surface isn't being highlighted, only the edges. So this makes it a little bit easier to avoid accidental selections of surfaces. So I'm just going to go back, turn on smart for now, uh, as we'll have to do other operations here as well. I think we have covered this. The next one is again uh, using we still have the top 4 corners that we'll have to apply rounds to. So we've done the bottom 2. We'll have the top 4 here. So these short corners here. So I'm going to reselect that edge option. Let's make it easier for myself here. And then 1, 2. And then the way I just panned my object, which is just move it inside the workspace, is by pressing down Shift on my keyboard and then the middle mouse button together. Shift and middle mouse button. It allows me to pan the object. So continuing to select, so I'm just pressing down the Control key, this edge, and then this edge. So we have 4 edges in total selected, and you can see it being shown in the status bar. 4 edges selected. We're going to do the same thing, round edges again. So just push it inwards. This will be by 3 millimeters as well. Right. So that's given you a rounded finish on all the corners here. The next one is we've still got these edges we can apply rounds to. So for these ones, these have a slightly different radius. So to select all these outer edges here, what you need to do is click on one and then double click. So what it does is it automatically highlights and selects all the connected edges to this outer edge here. Now we're going to apply a round to that. So that will be a 1.5 millimeters. So we still have the pull tool selected. I'm just going to push inwards by 1.5. And that's complete the outer edge round here. Right. So the next is we'll be starting to sketch those cutouts that I showed you earlier. So we're going into a different view now. So we're going to look at the negative x-axis view. So you can see the small axis handle that shows up in the lower left corner. I'm just going to click on this side, the one that's not marked as X, but with the red round icon. So that's the negative x-axis. So we're going to start by doing this face first. We'll be sketching the profile of the cutout. So we will go into sketch mode and then place the grid on this surface. Let's try that again. Right, it's right, there we go. Right, so one thing to remember here is before you place the grid, so it doesn't, as you saw, what it tried to do is randomly place a grid at the top because it did not have a target face selected where you want to draw. So before you press on sketch mode, make sure you select the target surface. So in this case, we are sketching on here and then click on sketch mode. And it centers the grid here. So click on plan view. Let's go into the next slide. Right, so here we'll be using the Cartesian dimensions just to make sure we get the exact locations of the cutouts and so it's not in a random location. Otherwise, your cutouts will not match up with the location of your actual ports on the Raspberry Pi board. So that's why we need the exact locations where to start the cutouts. So we start by selecting the rectangle sketch tool. and then use the Cartesian dimensions here, and then zoom in. Place it on the left corner here. You can see this, there's a crosshairs. So place this actually the blue circle is your starting location. And then drag your mouse right to 19 millimeters. So I'm just going to type in negative 19 here. And then go down by 5.3, negative 5.3. Right, so this gives you the actual starting point of the rectangular cutout. Right, so we need to get the measurements. So this will be 16.8 millimeter length by 16.5 millimeter breadth. So just going to do that. Let's pan this design slightly so we have more space. So this is 16.5 and this is 16.8. Right, that's completed one cutout, and the other one is 40 millimeters to the right, the starting point of the rectangle, and 5.3 millimeter down. So I'm just going to pan a little bit here. Go back on Cartesian dimensions, actually finish the previous operation, click on escape, and then go back here, click on Cartesian again, select our starting point as the same location. And this time we're going to go 40 millimeters to the right, and then 5.3 down. That gives you the new starting location of the other cutout. So that will be 14.1 millimeters breadth and 15.8 in length. Right, there you go. And then press enter to finalize it. Right, so you've got the profile of the two cutouts here. Now we'll go back into the 3D mode. So now we are ready to actually create the cutouts here. So I click on this option here. That's the 3D mode option. And then I can just press on the surface and pull inwards. Press, pull, and that completes the cutout. So you can see straight through. So there's your cutouts so these would be at the USB 3 ports, and the internet, the RJ45 port would be for your Raspberry Pi computer. Now we'll apply some rounds to these cutouts as well. So these will be 8 edges in total. We'll use the selection filter again. So go into selection filter here, turn off smart, just select edges, and then select on one of these short edges here. Right, so you notice I've just shown you something new here. So we've already used the selection filter to make sure we only select edges, but there is also a finer selection option that allows you to select only edges of the same length together. So I didn't have to go and select each of the 8 edges individually. I could just do it in one operation by it. This is your selection, the finer selection options here in this group, right next to options pull. And then I click on edges with same length. You'll see all of them are highlighted now. So we've already got the pull tool selected. And then we're going to just pull out this way so you can see the rounds are being created. So each of these rounds will be 1 millimeter in radius. So I enter 1 and there you go. There your round's done. Right, so we also have two more cutouts to do on this corner. I'm just going to go through these a little faster since I've already shown you those on one side. So I move to the opposite side now. All I've done is I've just used the mouse wheel to rotate the object. It's more useful if I click on use the axis handle on the lower left corner. and this does the operation much quicker. So if I click again, you'll see it switches sides. If I click once more, it goes to the opposite side. Click on select the surface again, place your sketch grid. It centers the sketch grid as we need it. And then click on rectangle. And then you should have the Cartesian options here in options for sketch. Zoom in slightly so we can look at where we are placing the target here. Right. Now this will be 3.8 millimeters to the right, 2.9 millimeters down. So 3.8 and then 2.9. There's your starting point. The dimensions of the rectangle are 12 millimeters to the right length and 8 millimeters width. So just press 8 on the width, press tab, switch to the length, and then enter 12 here. Right, that's one done. The other cutout is the longer one here, which is the memory card slot. So that will be, again, I click on Cartesian, press the blue target marker. This will be 19.9. And oops, let's just escape that. Misclick there, press that again. So this will be 1 millimeter down and then 19.9. And the dimensions are 25 millimeters length by 3.1 millimeter width. So 3.1 and then 25. There you go. And like we did the previous time, go back into 3D mode and then finish the cutouts. So I'm just going to spin out and then select the surfaces. I can even do them together. So select this profile here, the other one, and then push them in. So like I did with the edges before, I'm just using the control key, press it down, and then select as many faces or edges as you need for an operation. Right, so there's your micro USB port here, and you've got the memory card slot. Okay. I think we won't have time for much more today because we've just got an hour session. There's even more that you can do, uh, even more changes that you can make or modifications to the enclosure. So I'll just zoom into the presentation now. So the objective was to cover the basic geometry options, and I've shown you the interface. I've shown you some of the basic operations that you can do. So to complete this top half of the enclosure, you can see there are some additional rounds you may need to make. There's also the grooves that you can see here. The grooves are where the bottom half of the enclosure snaps into the top half because this is a snap fit enclosure. That is relatively simple to do. You can just, again, like I showed you, go into sketch mode, construct your profile here, and then use the pull tool to drag through, create the groove here. And I will also share the files with you so you can have reference as you're trying to practice practice on these designs. So yeah, there's your two halves. These two snap together, and in the middle sits your Raspberry Pi board. And in the slides, I've also included some self-learning materials. We've got a video just exploring again the user interface, like I showed you during the demo. We have um, another set of exercises that you can practice to go through the basics of the modeling tools again. It's a 5-part exercise. So we've got also design challenges using an engineering part. You can lower the playback speed and just practice on this part here. And you can ask any questions you have on our public forum. So yeah, you'll have all these links when I share the slides. So I think I'll stop it there in case there's any questions. We have a little bit of time. Right. Over to you, Sean, if there's any.
Oh, that was
questions
great.
you can see.
Thanks, Troy. That was very clear, and I could follow the whole way through as a
That's good.
novice. So that was great. There are a few questions in the chat. I guess one is it similar to SolidWorks? So kind of what separates DesignSpark from other 3D modeling softwares?
Is it similar to SolidWorks, right? It is. I mean, in terms of being 3D CAD modelers, SolidWorks and DesignSpark do share a common sort of design paradigm, but the SolidWorks modeler is something called a parametric modeler, also known as a history-based modeler, meaning you control your dimensions on the design. So you need to set up your dimensions at the start of the design and then work forwards. But in DesignSpark Mechanical, you can freely model. You are not set by constraints. You can, like I showed you, you can have a free set of measurements. It's easier to build concepts, an early concept with DesignSpark Mechanical. Or if you have no prior experience in CAD, you've not gone through extensive training, then DesignSpark is a good place to start. But obviously, SolidWorks does offer you a few more extensive options. If you're a professional and you need even more tools, SolidWorks does offer you a little bit more. But that's not to say that DesignSpark doesn't allow you to do very much the same things with fewer set of features.
Sounds
Hopefully
great.
that answers that.
Yeah. Um, One question about the CAD library. I think it was answered when you hovered over it that it's free, the assets
Yeah,
on there. Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So let me just see if there was a slide. I don't think I can find one. But anyway, so if you notice some of these models here on this first screenshot at the top, uh, this is just a laser optical instrumentation. So you can see the amount of complexity you can have with designs. DesignSpark Mechanical isn't exactly just for making playthings, but you can do really serious work with it. Some professional grade designs, industrial models, you can create them within the software. So some of these objects that you see, this is an assembly of objects. Some of these were actually imported from the library, and that library is free to use. All you need is to log into your DesignSpark software, and it has a single sign-on into the library. So you're already signed in. All you need to do is enter your keyword for the part, and then click on Insert into Design.
Okay, sounds great. And I think connected to that, you mentioned this bomb quote, and I thought that
Yeah.
might be pretty useful for the students right now are working on prototypes.
Yeah.
Um, and I just wanted to ask, how does that work? Does that kind of integrate with the CAD assets? How does a part have a quote if you've just kind of built
Mhm.
it on SciencePark?
Right. So to fetch a quote, so the BOM quote currently connects to the RS website, so that's where it gets the pricing and displays your cart on. Before you can do a BOM quote, you need to construct a bill of materials. I can show it to you right now. I've got a sample design here. So if I click on electronic design, this tab here, bear with me just a moment. Yeah, so over here you can see the bill of materials. Right, let's click on here. Okay, so this is a bill of materials of all the parts that are inside this assembly. So if I zoom in, you will see there are all these parts that were imported from the 3D library. Um, you can see there's one port here, there's some USB ports at the back. So going back into that view, these are just the list of the parts. So it has the component names, quantity inside this design, the manufacturer part numbers, stock numbers, and so on. So to get a BOM code, you will need this RS stock number field filled in so that it can identify which parts you're looking for on the RS catalog and it can provide a pricing for it. I believe we've recently added support on our website for also MPN. So you can have just the MPNs, I believe, in your BOM codes now. So even if you can't find the stock numbers, if you just have the MPNs, you may be able to get quotes for those objects as well in your cart.
Okay.
So yeah, I've just got to double check that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stock
Sure.
numbers in the past, we've always included stock numbers, and that's made it easier to fetch the pricing.
Okay. And you self-label those stock against a menu essentially, or
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So
Okay.
when you click on bill of materials and press full detail, it enters a template for you, and you have all these cells available. You can either manually enter them directly in the table, or you can enter them at a component level. So if I click on this component here, there are more nested components. Basically, this is the parent component, and you'll see there are more components under it. And each component has its properties. You will see here is where your stock number is listed, the reference number, the manufacturer. Here's the RS stock number that I was saying earlier. So it's within the component properties. So if you right click, there will be properties. And over here, you can enter them, or your other option is directly enter it into the table, into each of these cells.
Okay. Great. That's very straightforward.
We do have a tutorial. So I know, just if you need to revisit the topic, we have a tutorial on
Sure.
creating bombs, getting
Is that
tools.
menu of tutorials, is that in the slides, or
Uh,
where's the best way to access that? In the help
so
resources section.
help resources, online tutorials here.
Okay. Great.
You will need to do a search, so you can use our website search. Just type in bill of materials. It'll bring up the specific tutorial.
Great. And the last question that we had in the chat was, what was that last command you put in when you're rounding corners?
Last command.
I
Okay.
think they're referring to how do you shift from the push-pull into inputting the actual measurements with the keyboard. Are you doing anything
Right.
there? Or you just start typing?
Right. So I can revisit that. That's fine. Just go into design here. Let's go into maximize this window. Right. So let's try and do a round on this inner corner here. Right. So we've got one sharp edge here. So when I select that, right. So you'll see that the round option is pre-selected because that is usually the default option. The one time I did have to switch from the copy edge to the round option was because I had done a copy edge operation at the start of the design. That's why this was pre-selected. Sorry, the copy edge was pre-selected. So by default, every time you click on the pull tool, the round option will already be selected for you. And you will know that by seeing this single arrow that points inwards, or in some cases, it might point outwards if you've got an edge like this in, say, this cutout here. So you'll have a single arrow that shows that you're ready to make a round. And then to start that, I'm pressing down my left mouse button and then pushing my mouse or moving my mouse upwards on my mouse pad, I'm moving it upwards here. So I'm just saying it as it is. And to enter the exact radius, I'm not having to select anything again. I'm just typing in, say, 1. I just pressed 1 on my keyboard, and then it automatically brought up that box where you can enter it. And I press enter.
And that's while you're holding down the push,
Yes,
right? Okay.
of course, yeah. When you release your click, it'll finish the operation.
Okay. Sounds
So
great.
while pressed down, you can enter the dimension.
I think that's all the questions we have to chat, unless anybody else has any other questions they want to raise. But I think everyone is now going away and doing some activities, right, before our next workshop, which is happening towards the end of the month on the 25th, I believe.
Yeah.
Anything you want to send them away with as they go
Yeah,
work on
sure.
this?
So I'll forward these slides over to you. There's some more practice material here. It has all the resources you will need. So you can try and go through these same steps that I did yourself after the workshop. And after you've done that, it'll be a good idea to go through these basics of modeling tools exercises, which is a different set of models, but it really breaks it down step by step how to use the pull, combine, split body, the two tools that we didn't have time to cover today. Those are covered in this 5-part tutorial as well.
Great. And next time, what are we doing?
So next time, I'm just putting that together right now. I'm because I'm building new materials for the workshop. So I've done this. We'll probably do a follow-up, building the complete enclosure, bringing in an electronics board. We'll do a few more geometry operations that I can share in the next workshop. But ahead of that, if you practice the steps I've shown you today, follow this 5-part tutorial, I think that will really improve your knowledge of the tool, get you confident.
Okay, amazing. That sounds
Yeah,
great. And I think we're right on time.
that's
Um,
great.
to anyone, people here, if some of your teammates were not able to join today, some of your friends were not able to join, they can still join the second workshop. Just ask them to watch this recording, which I'll share on CrowdSolve along with all the resources, and try to do those exercises so you come well prepared for that. But we hope to see you at the next one. Does that all sound good to everyone? Thank you, Joy. Thanks for taking this time out
Thank
and
you.
taking us through all of this. I think students ask for this every year, so it's really valuable for them, uh,
That's great.
especially when they go into their prototyping phase. So I think this will
Yeah,
be a great resource.
that's great. Great to hear. Yeah. Looking forward to, if you've got any questions, feel free to send them through to Sean and I can have a look. Or, I would always encourage you to use our forums because this is a place where as a beginner in the software, if you've got questions yourself and someone answers on the forum, it'll help someone else as well. When I'm giving you one-to-one answers, it's just helping you, right? And maybe whoever your fellow members are. But if you post it on the forum, you're also helping other beginners who may not benefit from the workshops today. They'll get their questions answered. So I always encourage using our forums.
Okay. And those forums are community answers, or are they answered by people like you, Joy?
Community and stuff. So we've got
Okay.
both, users who've been with us 5, 6 years. They're helping people, new people to the software. But yeah, there's also staff presence on there.
Okay. Great. Getting some thank yous in the chat, but I'll let you all go now. We're right on time. So thanks again, Joy.
Excellent.
And
All right.
see
Thank you,
you
everyone.
in a few weeks. See you all in a
Yeah.
few weeks.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.